Oh, okay.
Hey, how are you? Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. It's a Monday.
Every day is a good day.
I guess you can look at it that way. I hate Mondays.
We got a new attorney.
I hope so.
When you fired the old one?
That would be nice.
Probably stepped down because he knows he was incompetent.
I didn't do it.
Welcome to the Charter Township of Comstock, Monday, April 6, 2026 board meeting. This meeting is now called to order. May you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If there are no changes to the agenda, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I have a change, I believe, but it would be on the March 24th meeting on page 12.
That's consent agenda. We would have to make it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Changes
You're
then.
correct. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you,
Okay.
Nicole.
Any changes to the agenda or looking for a motion for approval?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support. Motion made by Clerk Bochamp, supported by Trustee Pratt. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Agenda's approved. Moving along to public comments on agenda items only. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor, and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members, but you're welcome to make an appointment with the supervisor or superintendent to discuss your comments further. The contact information is located by the door. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Tammy Keeler, and y'all are on the agenda. So, y'all sit up there and you talk about your disrespect. Talk about disrespect from the public. When you disrespect us, you disrespect each other up there, especially Pratt.
Respectfully, this is not an agenda item. The
It
first
is.
public
You guys
comment
are on
is
the
about,
agenda.
we are not on the agenda. It's not an
Oh, it's
agenda
the
item.
supervisor, clerk.
Supervisor, I'm going to ask that you make sure we
And we
follow our
do have the
agenda.
right to speak whatever we want to speak about. That is in our First Amendment, right? You cannot censor what we talk about up here. That is against the law.
So, council,
Yes, it is.
how do you want to handle this?
That is against the law. You cannot tell us what we can come up here and talk about.
They will have an opportunity to speak.
Yes.
Okay, and it's
And on the first,
second public.
well, the
And
first public comment
the
should be
first
that way too.
public comment is agenda items.
You want me to read you the state law? Would you like
We're
me to
going to
read you the
defer to
state
our
law?
council.
They have an opportunity to speak, and I believe that's provided for on your agenda.
At the second public comment.
Yeah.
Ma'am, may you please speak on agenda items only for the first public comment?
Okay. Does this condominium have to do with Watt's property? Because if it does, the people on Lay Avenue were never told about this. He's going behind their backs. Why don't they know about this up in there? And you guys passed this without a vote from the people. As far as rezoning, I don't think there should be any rezoning. You guys do this stuff behind our back. I am talking about what's on the agenda. And for interrupting me, I like my minute back.
I clearly stated that it was for agenda items only.
I understand that, and I am on the agenda, but you guys interrupted me also. Time needs to be reset.
It was reset.
No,
You
it
did
wasn't.
start at 3.
No, I did not. Reset it to 3 minutes, please. It was not reset, it was stopped.
Ma'am, once your time is out, you're up.
Okay. Let's see what the Attorney General thinks about this. Yes, thank you, because you
Thank
are
you.
unlawfully doing this to the people.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Autumn Smith. I would like to address the lack of transparency in this agenda, specifically under the trustee section. Items like planning commission letter and ordinance compliance are far too vague. The public has no way of knowing whether you're planning a discussion, enforcement action, policy changes, or something else entirely. The Michigan Open Meetings Act exists to ensure the public is informed, not left guessing. While agendas may not require extreme detail, they must provide enough clarity for the public to understand what government action may be taking place. Right now, this agenda doesn't do that. If this board intends to take action under these items, the public should have been clearly notified in advance. Vague descriptions undermine transparency and prevent meaningful public participation. Going forward, I am requesting that agenda items be clearly labeled to reflect what they involve, discussion, potential action, and the subject matter involved. The public deserves to know what is being discussed and what the government is doing before decisions are made, not after. I would highly, highly recommend you guys pull these items from the agenda, because if you do, you've already approved the agenda, you're in a violation of the Open Meetings Act again. I don't know how this got past your council, but those do not satisfy the Open Meetings Act. We have no idea if there's going to be action taken, discussion, if it's administrative, if it's informative, nothing. So I would really, really hope that you would look to your attorney, who should have approved it ahead of time and not be setting you up for possible further litigation. But either way is fine, because I'm happy to take you to court again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Seeing how ordinance, Karen Height, seeing how ordinance compliance is listed on here, I spoke with the ordinance officer before about the address of 5441 ML Avenue. That's the corner of River Street and ML. I also went down and talked to CABA. I have not gotten the FOIA yet, but they built a big pavilion in the backyard with a big cement slab and a nice big covered thing. It looks very nice. Never a sign out front that is supposed to be displayed and be able to be seen from the road that they have a building permit. Never saw one. Now they're adding on to their house. Once again, there is still no compliance with a building permit attached to the house that can be seen from the front of the road. I would like this addressed by Dakota. These are ordinances that other people have to follow and have to get building permits for. Before having to FOIA CABA for it, I'd like our board to look into it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further citizen comment?
In relation to the planning commission letter and the ordinance compliant, like the young lady said, this is extremely vague. But what I'm hoping here is that with these things here, that at some point, like when how long does this go on for? So once we find out whatever it is that went from the complaint that the township already sent in, so once that we receive that complaint back, or whatever the assessment is, or lack thereof, that, is there going to be some finality to it? Because that's my question, is that when does this end? Do we continue to spend time on the ordinance compliance for one line item? Or does at some point do we say enough is enough? How long will this continue on? Does it just continue on in perpetuity? Or do at some point do we go, you know what? This is a lot better of an agenda that has been here for maybe the last 2 months. This is probably the most well thought out one in 2 months. And that's sad. What I would like to see eventually at some point is that we don't have things like planning commission letter here or ordinance compliance here. When does this stop? One of you can stop all of it at any time. At any time, and we can go back to talking about the parade, we can go back to talking about the Memorial Day stuff. At any time, we can all do that and do what we were put up here, you guys were put up to there to do in the first place. At any time, this can end. At any time. We don't have to do this stuff anymore, and everybody's headaches go away. All we got to start doing is acting like adults and stop with this planning commission letter nonsense and this ordinance compliance nonsense. Because every time that other people keep pushing, other people push back, and eventually one side has to stop, or one person could just be an adult, and we wouldn't have to do this anymore. So that would be great, you know, if we could go ahead and do that, and then we can get to talking about these things, and whatever the fee waiver is, you guys should go ahead and grant that, because I think there's this, we pay a disproportionate amount of our taxes to the fire department. I don't know if anybody notices, but 1/3 of our taxes goes to the fire department. That's disproportionate across everybody in the county. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further citizen comment? If not, we'll be moving along to announcements for departments, boards, and commissions. Commissioner, do you have anything for us?
I always have something for you, Ben. Excuse me. First two involves training that's available to anybody. The first one, they're trying to focus on local officials. I just attended the first session that was out in the Oshtemo 6th Street Fire Department a few days ago, and it was real informative. The guy that presented it from the Michigan State Police really knew what he was talking about, and it had to do with Office of Emergency Management issues that I should probably know more than I do about, but I came away a lot smarter, if that's possible. Don't laugh at me. And anyway, they're going to have that second one on the 15th of April, and it's going to be at the Expo Center. And all of you guys, all elected and appointed officials, are encouraged to attend if they can. And you probably should contact the Office of Emergency Management at the county, let them know you're coming. There's going to be no food or anything, but make sure they have enough chairs set up and that sort of thing. On April 18th, there's going to be a Red Cross hosted, what do they call it, the Skywarn program. This is volunteers that will basically look out the window or step out the door when there are tornado warnings, watches, severe thunderstorms, the kind of thing that you learn about on the TV or online, and it's all radar indicated. They want to have people that actually can say, hey, there's something happening over here and there's something happening over there. And I don't know if it's a tornado, but it's sure one ugly cloud coming this way. So if you want to attend that, Red Cross at 2 to 4 in the afternoon on the 18th of November. I don't know what day of the week that is, but that's the 18th, definitely out at the Red Cross facility. Excuse me. The group group that I host every month on the second Monday, Kalamazoo Citizens for Responsible Government, are going to have a speaker next Monday, a week from today, at 8:30 in the morning at Mark's Diner on Romance Road, or I guess it's just called Romance, in Portage, the city Portage. And the speaker will be Jeff Sorensen. We haven't had a township supervisor speak to us for probably 8 years, and there are a lot of people in my group that live in townships and don't really understand what a township supervisor is supposed to do. So Jeff's one of the long-standing supervisors, and he's going to inform everybody what he sees his duties as. And I will be leaving tonight because it's the first Monday of the month, and Waukesha meets on the first Monday, so I need to get down there for their meeting before it starts. Thanks very much. If you have any questions, I'll do my best. Bob?
What's that date again for Jeff Sorensen?
It's next Monday, which is the 13th, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
And it's 8:30 at Mark's Diner on Romance in Portage.
Thank you.
Any further board member questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Drive safe. Be moving along to the consent agenda. Approval of the March 16th, 2026 meeting minutes. Approval of March 24th, 2026 special meeting minutes, and bills payable April 7th, 2026. And then, Council, I've just got a question. The special meeting minutes had things pertaining to my business, which I highly didn't agree with, and I abstained from voting. So I wouldn't prefer to not be included in voting in that matter.
Did you say not involved in voting in that matter?
Yes, if I had to abstain from any of the discussions, so I just would like to clarify if I would need to abstain from that.
Is it due to a conflict?
It is.
Yeah, please then.
Yes. Yep. So I would be looking for a motion to allow Supervisor Martin to abstain from the consent agenda.
I make a motion that Supervisor Martin abstain from the consent agenda.
Support.
Oh, sorry.
Motion made by Trustee Cherry, supported by Trustee Pratt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition. So I'd be looking for somebody else to make a motion for the consent agenda.
And I would like to go back to my initial, please, for the approval of the March 24th meeting, to go to page 12. It would be after number 6, we jump back to number 1. It says that, and that based upon these facts that the Charter Township of Comstock Board determines that, number 1, Soil Friends is in violation of compiled ordinance. I believe that should read Ben Martin, not Soil Friends, but I will refer to legal counsel on that.
So under the Open Meetings Act, the minutes reflect a board action. We have to have that in there. Okay, so in here I see findings that Trustee Pratt made, and then there's 6 findings, and then based on that, the board determined, and it says 1 and 2, and number 1 said Soil Friends is in violation, and so on and so forth. What was said at that meeting? The recommendation would be to use the words that were said at that meeting. And then if you're gonna, and then there would be a motion to amend, if there is a motion to amend, and then there would be a vote, and if something were to pass, then the word gets stricken out and replaced with whatever the decision of the board is.
So this was taken directly from the attorney's statement, and Trustee Pratt read that at the meeting. So this was read exactly as it states.
Okay, so if it reads exactly how it states, I mean, my recommendation is to always use whatever was said. That's the board action. Okay, and if there's disagreements on that, then it could be discussed, and then the board would make a decision.
Soil Friends is not in violation of the ordinance. I think maybe legal counsel should probably read the ordinance.
No, I'm aware of,
I mean,
no, I'm aware of what happens, but I don't make decisions as far as the motion goes, and I don't vote.
Well, we're voting on whether or not that's actually what happened. If that's what the attorney said, I don't know that. I don't recall that. But Soil Friends is not the one that's in violation of the ordinance, is my point to this. That is not a true fact. Because the ordinance states that it is an elected official, not the elected official's business. So there's a huge difference there.
There is a difference. I understand that, and it comes down to what the board did. I don't have a better, I can't change a board's action. I don't have that authority to do.
Please, no comments.
I believe that this is the same document that,
Need to turn your microphone on.
thank you. I believe this is the same document that Attorney Thal had me read in this position I was in. And so I would be against changing anything for that motion that the board, after reading it, we agreed and we voted on it. So that's from my memory. Thank you.
Do we want to add Soil Friends / Ben Martin is in violation of compiled ordinance, and then approve the minutes as such, just for clarity's sake?
My concern is legal issues down the road for what this business has been through and what it's going through now. And I'm just trying to make sure things are above the table in legal, because this
So
may come
the minutes
back.
are just approving what happened at the hearing. That's what happened at the hearing. So it's what happened. So I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, motion carried.
And Supervisor Martin abstained.
Correct.
Moving along through presentations, through business and into fire and rescue, a request to submit a grant.
All right, good evening. Supervisor, if I can, I got two announcements on behalf of the fire department. We have our new aerial apparatuses delivered from the factory. This was ordered nearly 3 years ago, and it replaces an engine. We're estimating 2 months of equipment mounting and training, and then it'll be placed in service at Station 9-1. And the last of the 3 installment purchases was made, so it's paid off. Second announcement is we are planning on an open house to discuss the new Station 9-3 on Thursday, April 16th from 4 to 6. This will be at the current Station 9-3 in East Michigan. We may do a second open house in May, depending on scheduling. So for our business request for tonight, we're requesting the board's approval to submit a grant request to Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation for a digital fire extinguisher training system to support our community risk reduction program. And it would be for the sum of $26,000. And if approved, there'll be no match on the grant request.
Any questions for Chief Beauchamp?
I guess I don't understand. So where's this going to go?
The grant request?
No, the object that you were getting the money for.
The only thing, I was just making 2 announcements, and our only business request is to request to submit a grant request for the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation for $26,000 for a digital fire extinguisher training system.
Oh.
So I'm not asking for any funds. I'm just asking to write the grant.
Okay, thank you.
Any further board questions? If not, be looking for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation grant in the amount of $26,000 for the fire department to submit it.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Trustee Cherry. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Chief. If you have a question for Chief Beauchamp?
I do. Most of my 5 townships are purchasing some sort of fire equipment, and the lag in 3 years is, I think, fairly common for some of them. Can you tell me what happened to the price over that 3-year period? Seems like many of the other townships have watched it go up significantly almost every 6 months. I don't know if that means they didn't sign a good contract to start with, but, you know, things are far more expensive now in terms of fire equipment than they were 3 years ago.
Are you referring to the grant request or something in particular?
Talking about the big one, the ladder truck.
The big one, okay. So we made a request to the board nearly 3 years ago to purchase it, knowing that the prices were going up 11 to 13% per quarter on new vehicles. And we had an engine that was coming close, so we decided to, there was also an emission standard change that was gonna cost nearly $40,000. So we figured the time was right to purchase then instead of now. And if we would have purchased the same one now, we'd have paid over $400,000. So ours is just our strategic plan to look ahead and goes, what's coming up and where's it going? And to try to stay ahead of it. So it takes a lot of work. We got an internal plan over 30 years for all of our capital expenditures. The biggest one we've discussed with the board is a 15-year plan with a new station proposal coming up. And we're looking at a cost of all of our big purchases during that time to ensure that we're not going to propose to raise the assessment rate for that. So it takes a lot of work, for sure, but appreciate that. That answer your question?
That sure does.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
And Ben, thank you for letting me interrupt your meeting.
Thank you. Moving along to the site condominium review for Lehigh Avenue.
Okay, so first item I have for you all is a step 1 review for Lee Ave site condominium. Typo, sorry, the agenda item says in public hearing. That is a typo. The public hearing was held at the Planning Commission on March 12th. The Planning Commission is unanimously recommending approval, 5-0 with the site or with the street length waiver. We'll get into that as I go through the staff report lightly. So this project is approximately 40 acres, and there will be 138 homes projected for this project. The lots will be 6,200 square feet, or roughly. All the standards are met. Kyle Muka, our planning consultant, did the initial review. He found a few concerns or just a few things that needed to be cleared up, sent it back to the builder and his engineer. They had a bit of feedback here and there, and then they resubmitted a new design that met all of the standards, and Kyle has that written out in the report step by step. There will be 3 phases if this were to be approved, and you can see that in your packet. The first phase has that temporary cul-de-sac, and then second phase, and then third phase is the project completed. The applicant has spoken to the road commission and has basically mediated all the issues that they could have seen, and also has preliminarily discussed with the fire chief and fire marshal for safety concerns that may come up. As long as the fire hydrants are spaced where they need to be, there are no immediate safety concerns. The applicant is here to speak as well if you have further questions. So the Planning Commission is recommending approval, but there is a stipulation in our standards that the linear street length cannot exceed 1,000 feet. So that's 1,000 feet. So the road cannot be 1,000 feet without another access point. In the plans, you can see that the roads are all straight. There are no roads cutting through the lots. And the existing street that is on you guys' site plan is about 1,300 roughly feet. So that exceeds our standards by 300 feet. The Township Board has the power to waive that standard to allow him to build roads that are longer than that 1,000-foot minimum or maximum. And the Planning Commission discussed this bit back and forth during their meeting and ultimately are recommending approval with the street length waiver to allow the builder to exceed that 1,000-foot maximum. Any questions on that?
Any board member questions?
I'd like to ask a question. 1,000 feet sounds like a lot. Thank you. So the 1,000 feet sounds like a lot, a long distance, and perhaps it is, but you think about it, it's only about 528 feet per quarter, per tenth of a mile, 2/10 of a mile long. To add another 300 feet on it doesn't seem like much. Is there room at the end of that street?
So the street itself will be 1,300 square feet roughly. So are you asking?
I thought you were talking about the length of the road.
Yes, the length of, yes, so the streets going into the development where the lots will be.
Yes.
Are gonna be roughly 1,300 feet long. And so if he were to meet the requirement as stands, he would need to cut out 8 lots to put a road basically bisecting the development.
So it's either or.
Yes, either or. Either you guys can waive the option, which the Planning Commission is recommending, or you guys can deny that waiver and require him to cut out the 8 lots to make that street in the middle.
And Casey, that part of that stipulation was for public safety, and at the Planning Commission, they addressed that the fire chief was in favor of.
Yes.
Could you address that, like the hydrants, the spacing, and why that's a concern?
Yeah, I can't speak exactly to what the fire concerns would be, but I do know that Matt Watts, the developer, has spoken to the fire department, and as long as the hydrants are where they need to be at, there's really no concern. I know residents voice concerns about having that long drag strip, but if that is an issue in the future, speed humps and stop signs or anything could be placed there if this becomes a major drag race area. But of the immediate concern, the road commission and the fire department didn't have any public safety issues.
Thank you. Any further board member questions? Treasurer Bloomfield?
I just want to say that you are correct in saying that the Planning Commission did not have an issue with extending the street. But also with our report from the Upjohn Institute, this would take care of 70% of the housing need that we have up to 2028. So that was another positive thing with Watts Construction wanting to do this development.
I have a question on the 1,300 feet. You said if it becomes a drag strip, they can add a speed bump later, but can they just
add it
while they're?
So I know that when we had a public hearing, a lady that lived on Casper came and spoke how she fought with the road commission for 9 years to get speed humps on Casper. So it's definitely not the ideal first thing to do. The road commission, I believe, is against it for plows, or I don't know exactly why they don't pursue it immediately. But yeah, it's usually as needed and not just put in prematurely.
Any further board member questions for Casey, or if there's any interest for the applicant to speak to us, or any questions for the applicant?
I believe Mr. Watts is interested in speaking, if you guys would give him a sec.
Thank you, Casey.
Good evening, board. Just to reiterate a few things that Casey discussed, we discussed the street length in quite detail with the Planning Commission, and one of the things which is an old ordinance, I think, with the township is that 1,000 lineal feet. And with that 1,000 lineal feet, I think back in the day, that was with well and septic, so you had a tougher job getting water source to the areas. Now, the requirements from the fire chief is I have to have fire hydrants every 300 feet. So that eliminates the safety concern about you don't have to drag a hose 1,000 feet for a burning building. So, and we talked about that, Matt and I did in detail, and he goes, as long as you have those installed correctly, it's fine. We have enough water pressure from Lee and Margaret to take down there, so that's not gonna be an issue at all. Excuse me. But a couple other things, Sandra brought up the housing report that the Upjohn Institute did, the grant paid, what, $50,000 for, I think it was. And what they came up with is Kalamazoo County needs over 8,000 homes into 2030. Comstock needs 175. Right now, what I have going on behind Planet Fitness is 33 houses. And then bringing this to market next year will eliminate not the 175 that Comstock needs, but it's a substantial amount. And it needs to happen. A couple of the statistics, just so Comstock is aware, and I provided this 3 weeks ago at the Planning Commission meeting where it was a public comment or public hearing that everybody could speak at. Anyone from the county, the township, whatever, could have spoke 3 weeks ago. They did or they didn't. So it was a public hearing. 3 weeks ago, the average price of a house for sale in Comstock Township was $302,000. 3 weeks ago, just for sale. And there was 10 active houses for sale at that time. Today, on the MLS, there are currently 10 houses for sale. The average year built, 1940. The newest house on those 10 houses for sale, 1995. And the average list price is $254. No new construction in 2026 building permits have been pulled except for 3 mobile homes in the Comstock Mobile Home Park. That's it. No stick-built houses at all. Last year, in 2025, for the entire year, for new construction only, 9 permits were pulled total, and 2 of them were mine. So there's not new construction happening in Comstock, and it needs to. And I'm trying to get to the price point where it's an average sale price right now of what's currently out there. And if we don't provide housing, where are people going to move? They're not going to move in the district. So those are just a few statistics that I think need to be addressed, and I'm willing to do it, but I need approval to get that done. So I can answer any other questions you may have.
Any further board member questions? If not, be looking for a motion.
I would make a motion that the builder and the homes in the Watts New Plat is allowed to extend the road that's 1,000 feet is what the township allows now, to extend it an additional 300 feet to achieve the ends they need to do to get this housing project going.
Is that the end of it?
Yes.
Support.
Motion made by trustee MacGyver, supported by treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote.
Trustee Pratt?
Excuse me, if I may, can we just say, with the street length waiver, I don't have the exact number of what it will go past 1,000 feet. I don't know.
So you want the motion amended?
Yes.
It's got a layout that you guys have.
One moment.
And I wonder if we should also add into the motion, like step 1 review, or
I was going to say the same thing.
something
So
to
maybe
name
we
the
could-
project.
Say again.
If you could add into the motion, step 1 review, a motion to approve step 1 review, a Lee Avenue site condominium, and then adding into the street waiver.
Just to save it from making another mistake, I'd like to withdraw my motion. If somebody else could make it that's more verbally correct than I am, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, trustee MacGyver. Do we need a motion to withdraw a motion?
Is there support?
Yes.
Then withdraw it.
Okay, looking for a motion. Trustee MacGyver, if you want to make a motion to withdraw?
Yes, please.
Is that your motion?
Is it a motion to withdraw?
The motion I tried to make on the Lace Avenue site condominium is withdrawn that I tried to make.
And I'll support that.
Motion of withdrawal made by trustee MacGyver, supported by treasurer Bloomfield. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion withdrawn. Be looking for a motion for approval for step 1, review for Lee Avenue site condominium.
I move that we approve the step 1 review for the Lee Avenue site condominium with the street length waiver.
Support.
Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee MacGyver?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Perfect. The next item I have for you all is a 5057 East Main and 1654 Lee Ave rezoning request. This came before you all early March or early last month for a fee waiver request, which was granted unanimously by you all. The applicant owns 2 contiguous parcels on East Main and Lee Ave, and I included the zoning maps you all have seen about a month ago that show that somehow, some way, this became split zoned, even though in the 90s he is adamant it was all zoned commercial. So the Planning Commission is unanimously recommending approval for this rezone request, and any questions, feel free to ask.
Any questions for Casey? If not, be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the 5057 East Main and 1654 Lee Avenue rezone request.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Bochamp, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote?
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Perfect. And then that was first reading, so that'll be back to you guys at the next meeting. And then the last item I have for you all is a request from a resident named Tim Kearney. He's been to the meetings before and has spoken about this request, so we finally have an application in, and I can go in brief detail. He is here as well to speak further to this request. So at the corner of King Highway and River, there is a building there with a few different tenants, and DHHS, which I believe is Department of Human Health Services, or one of those departments, is interested in opening up an office there for DHHS workers. However, they want the option to house emergency removals in case a child is removed from a home and has to stay there for up to 3 days. So when we spoke with him, that would be more like, if it was just an office with workers, sure. But because there will be children staying the night there, up to 72 hours, we need to create a new or a new use that fits this. Not quite sure what the phrasing would be. The application states adding protective services. However, the Planning Commission will be the ones to take on and figure out what wording would best fit a use like this. He is here requesting a fee waiver because typically to get a use added to our ordinance would be a $700 fee, but he believes he should have to pay that, and hopefully he can speak further as to why he has this request submitted.
Thank you, Casey. Any board member questions for Casey?
Just one, toward the end, what would be the price of that fee?
$700.
$700?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Kearney?
Yeah, hi, thank you. Bottom line is I think that some of this stuff is a little bit outdated. I think if you look up the legal definition of what a business service establishment is, it clearly defines an establishment primarily engaged in providing services to businesses, establishments on a fee or contract basis. This includes various services such as advertising, building maintenance, employment services, accounting services, protective services, janitorial services, file storage and management services, and computer services. Additionally, under the Fair Labor Standards Act, a service establishment is a business that primarily furnishes services to the public rather than focusing on the sale of goods. This distinction is important for understanding the legal obligations and classifications of a business in relation to their primary functions and customer base. So it clearly defines in the legal description protective services, which falls under the category of what we're trying to provide for the state of Michigan and Kalamazoo County specifically. It's not a daycare. These children are kids of wards of the state. And this would fall directly under my business service establishment zoning. And so there we have it. But I think this is a good opportunity to actually define that ordinance or that zoning in its entirety and not just add the verbiage protective services, because when I looked at it, it's very generic and way outdated. So hopefully you can understand where I'm coming with all that, and that in essence, Candy's water service could come up to me and say to you, can we store, salt? Absolutely, I'm supporting your business because you serve the public. Right, so I mean, so what we're trying to do is establish working with the state of Michigan and the youth that are in neglect and abuse in our systems, and we see that we haven't violated any ordinance at all. So hopefully you see the same.
Any questions for Mr. Kearney?
I'm not sure if it's for Mr. Kearney or for the board or our attorney. Is there any precedence in waiving a fee like this? $700 is quite a hefty fee, but since he has a business, from what I understand, he's trying to get it running concerning state of Michigan needs for our community, and it sounds very worthwhile, but should we, in discussing and making a decision on waiving a fee, does that set a precedence for other business that would come in and ask for the same?
So with fee waiver, the township board is the legislative body of the township, which means ultimately you're going to approve or deny an ordinance. Okay, that comes from the planning commission. You could direct the planning commission to take up a zoning ordinance amendment, and that's a board action, rather than an applicant coming and applying to have a text amendment, which in case that's what triggers the fee. If the township board initiates it on its own, then there would be no fee. Regarding precedent, do you feel this is a unique use that would come up frequently in your township? Or from time to time? Because I think that's like listening to zoning, it seemed like this was something that that they wanted to look at the PC level that was going to address new uses, new standards, things like that. So to me, it's more of you're regulating a use, not necessarily someone's business. That's how you have to look at it as. So the planning commission, when they're doing a zoning ordinance amendment to change their zoning ordinance, any changes that they make are going to be applicable to that zoning district classification. We're not necessarily changing it for a specific use. So if you want, you could direct the PC to take up a zoning ordinance amendment, and that would not trigger that application fee because there is no applicant. And if the planning commission doesn't want to, or excuse me, the township board doesn't want to take up that zoning ordinance amendment, well, someone could apply, and then that would trigger an application fee.
Is there any, I'd like to hear some, discussion part of the board on this idea, because this is something that we might find valuable or not, so.
So I have a question on, it's zoned business services, and we have it spelled out what business services means, but this use isn't spelled out.
No, so it is zoned Comstock Center Core, and there are lists of permitted uses that fall under that zoning district. One of them is a business service establishment. However, it's too vague. It kind of just says, I think, support maybe, or this use, housing children for 3 days, would not fit under that title. So when we discussed new uses under Comstock Center Core, we said human and health services, or emergency placement housing. That would be a better term than business service establishment. I don't know if it'd be helpful to discuss what the fee covers, because the fee is steep, but the cost associated with this text amendment would also be pricey. So for example, it would be a public hearing, which costs about $250 when we take it to the paper, staff time, and then after, if you guys were to approve the amendment, for example, our battery storage system ordinance we just did cost us $600 to put into our ordinance. So that was a lot of pages, but there is cost associated with taking this on as a board as well.
What was that cost again, the example that you gave?
Yep, so our zoning ordinance, we cannot change in-house. We use a third party called Giffords and Webster to update our ordinance. And the battery energy storage system ordinance updates we just did cost $600. So that is covered by the amendment fee, but we took that on in-house.
Okay, thank you.
Any further board questions, discussion? Treasurer Bloomfield?
Do you know the last, or when this ordinance was written? I mean, I have heard Mr. Watts stand up here and say, as well as Mr. Carney, that we have ordinances that are outdated, which we do. And we're seeing that with other things on the agenda tonight. And because the Planning Commission has been busy with the battery storage, along with other things, we were working on some of those, but I wonder if you knew how old this ordinance was and last time it was updated? Because while I'm on this subject, it would be nice that those of us who are in the community that are using these ordinances, if you'd come to the Planning Commission or to you or to the chair and said, hey, I think you need to take a look at this ordinance because it's prohibiting things that have changed throughout the world and in your community.
So the business service establishment, I don't know when that use was put in, so I can't say, but this is a completely different kind of use we would have to deal with. This is not a use that we usually run across, so it's not like we're outdated, we just haven't had this use come up before. So I don't know. I know, for example, some of our ordinances used to say typewriter repair, and we changed that recently, so we do have things that are just way dated.
Trustee MacGyver?
No.
Well, it sounds like a service like that could be used in this community. Give me a new button. A service like Mr. Kearney is proposing for the care of kids that are in trouble or not by their own choice. But is there, what I'm getting is there's no workaround to eliminate that the $700 fee that you mentioned earlier. Is there a workaround that we can do that? Because I think it's something the community could use.
Yes, so you guys he has turned in an application for this fee waiver, or not, this text amendment request, and you all can waive the cost for that fee. So it will still be treated like an applicant-based item, meaning it kind of gets high priority on the PC agendas. Sometimes when Township Board requests amendments to our, to the Planning Commission to work on, sometimes if we're really heavy, they get pushed back sometimes. So it kind of, you guys can just say higher urgency, Planning Commission, please undertake this request, or you guys can waive the fee and it be treated like an applicant-based request. So whatever preference you all have.
Clerk Beauchamp?
The Comstock Center designation, I think, is fairly new, probably when the DDA was formed around that time, so not that long ago. So maybe it was a use that they just didn't have clarity on or knew that it was going to, come up. So to me, I think it would make sense to have the Planning Commission review it and look at that some more and not even have to have a fee waiver, just have the Planning Commission review.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Clerk Beauchamp. To me, it sounds like how someone would want to interpret what a business service is, and one could interpret it one way and one could interpret the other. So I would be in favor of directing the Planning Commission to make a text amendment. Trustee Pratt?
I would support that. Full agreement with that.
Trustee Amos?
I would support that.
Trustee Cherry?
Absolutely, yeah.
Be looking for a motion if there's no further discussion. Council, do you have anything for us further that we should be aware of?
No, nothing additional, thank you.
Be looking for a motion.
Okay, so I make a motion that the Planning Commission reassess the ordinance. Text amendment. For Tim Kearney?
Is that good enough?
Or maybe for that particular designation,
That designation?
the business services designation.
We should direct them to do that, to do a text amendment.
Direct them. So, okay, so I need to withdraw what I just said then.
We haven't gotten support, so you can re-amend your motion.
Okay, that's why when you looked at me, I was like, oh, no. Okay, I make a motion that we direct the Planning Commission to do a text amendment.
Waive the fee.
And waive the fee for Tim Kearney.
Support.
Is that clear enough?
Yeah, that's fine. Yes.
Okay. Motion made by trustee Cherry, supported by treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote?
Trustee Pratt,
Yes.
trustee Amos,
Yes.
supervisor Martin,
Yes.
treasurer Bloomfield,
Yes.
clerk Bochamp, yes, trustee Cherry,
Yes.
trustee McIver.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Casey. Moving along to Clerk Bochamp for the Memorial Day Parade permit.
Okay, the Parks is working with the VFW for a Memorial Day parade. We need to approve their parade permit to submit to the Road Commission and the resolution to support to MDOT. So we'll be looking for 2 separate motions.
Okay, sounds good.
I move that we approve Resolution 2026-6 MDOT Performance Resolution for municipalities.
Motion made by trustee Cherry,
Support.
supported by treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos? Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now we're looking for the second part of the motion.
Yes. I move that we approve the parade permits for Comstock Township and the Road Commission and allow the Parks Department to submit them.
Motion made by clerk Bochamp, supported by trustee Amos, and this can be just a voice vote.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, next I have a brief election report. Preparations for the May 5th election are underway. All voters will decide on a Carissa millage renewal in all precincts. A Comstock Public Schools bond proposal will be on the ballot in precincts 2, 3, 5, and 6, and a Galesburg Augusta school bond in precinct 1. The public accuracy test is this Thursday, April 9th at 9 a.m. All public is welcome to attend. The Election Commission will be meeting to appoint election workers on Thursday, April 9th at 12 o'clock. Absentee ballots are now available. Voters can apply at our office or online at michigan.gov/vote. As of today, we've issued 3,233 ballots and 233 have been returned. And that's all I have.
Any questions for clerk Bochamp? Okay, moving along to treasurer Bloomfield for the purchasing policy.
Yes. William, our deputy treasurer, and myself had been working on this for some time, and then we met with Superintendent Hess and Brett Padgett, and I think we had about an hour meeting, and we went over the policy that we had started, and then we handed it off to Brett. Brett brought it back with more changes, additions, deletions, and the meeting we had with the 4 of us went very well, and what you have is the draft that came from that meeting. Brett went through it and we had him remove a committee that we thought we wanted, made up of board members, but we decided not to do that. We tried to keep it simple so that when it is implemented, once the board votes on it, that we weren't creating more work for our help, but yet we were protecting the township when we go to do policies and purchasing. And years ago when I was on the board, I know when Jerry and I served together, we did have a purchasing policy, and we've been without one for quite some time. So I want to explain the real need for this is this can cost us a lot of money by not having one of these in place. I'm going to give you an example, and nobody on this board knows this, but after the last board meeting, when we voted to hire college hunks for our trash pickup, someone picked up the phone and called another trash hauler and told them what we wanted, what we were using, what we had just bid on for 2 pickups for $100,000, and this company quoted $82,000 for the same pickup. So just that one bid that went out we could have saved ourselves $18,000. And I put that on this board, so I hope that you all take time to go through this and really look at it, and when we come back with it, with the next meeting, if there's any changes you want to make, we discuss it and try and move it forward.
And are you looking for those changes prior to that meeting so you can have the reflections presented?
It would be nice, because I would like to have another meeting with Superintendent Hess and with Brett and William, myself, so we can go back over it again, if you're all agreeable to that.
Thank you. Any further board member questions for Treasurer Bloomfield? Appreciate the work on this. If there's no further questions, we'll be moving along to Police Week resolution discussion.
This was sent to me through somebody in Lansing, and
Sorry. I'll get rid of that thing.
I would like to have discussion on honoring Police Week, which is May 10th through May 16th, 2026. It is honoring all police officers, sheriff's deputies, troopers, dispatchers, and corrections personnel. And then also Monday, May 4th of this year at 7 p.m. at the State Capitol in Lansing, there is a memorial service for honoring all fallen law enforcement, for the officers and for Michigan families that they would have liked me to announce. And if you decide you'd like to do this resolution, I think that the treasurer's office could handle this so that it wouldn't cost any money for the attorney to do.
Treasurer Bloomfield, would you bring that before us at the next meeting?
Yeah, I'd like, if you approve doing this, voting to do this as a board, then yes, I would get the resolution made up and forward it to the attorney to have him approve it before it was put on the agenda for next time.
And if that were something that you could put on the agenda under treasurer, would we need to authorize that and we just authorize the resolution? I guess what I'm asking is, do we need to have two approvals versus just you present us a resolution and then we approve it as a board?
Yeah, just present the resolution.
Okay.
It'll go in the agenda packet and
okay.
On from there.
Any questions for Treasurer Bloomfield? I'd be in total support, so thank you. If there's no further questions, we'll be moving along to Trustee Pratt. Planning Commission letter?
Yes, a very, very quick one. On, I believe it was Thursday, March 26th, I was observing the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and there was some mention of formulating a letter to someone. I had to leave the meeting by remote, of course, and so I didn't get back to it. But on the letter, I would like a copy of that letter if it's currently available, or if it's something in the future, I'd like a copy for the board as well as the Assistant Zoning Administrator. And that's the extent of my request.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Trustee Pratt, in that meeting, we also asked legal counsel for emails for the board members, and the township still doesn't have those ready. So that letter went out was hand delivered to me and scanned in and was sent out via email this afternoon. But I will see to it that it is forwarded. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And on the next item here concerning ordinance compliance, I've had several questions by residents since our meeting, hearing meeting on the 24th of this month. And as I told them that something would be forthcoming from the MLCC in Lansing, and until they take action, there's nothing truly for this board to do or to comment on, discuss, or make any measures. So since there was several questions, I wanted to just put that out to the public. that, from what I understand, they do have the request or the decision that we sent up to him, up to them, but there's been no action thus far. So all discussions, actions from this board is on hold until they act in Lansing. Thank you.
May I, this was not named in both of these matters pertain to my business. So if it were named in the agenda that my business were going to be discussed, it would have been helpful for me to be able to abstain. So for the record, I would like to abstain. So I'd be looking for a motion to abstain from any discussion on this matter.
Generally, I think it would be you requesting the motion to abstain, and then we would approve it. So if you want to make that motion.
So I make the motion for Supervisor Martin to abstain in any discussions pertaining to Soil Friends.
Support.
Motion made by Supervisor Martin, supported by Trustee Amos. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Any further board discussion? Moving along to Superintendent for the Superintendent Report.
Good evening. Just as Commissioner Gissler mentioned, the emergency management class, I was in that class with him. It is good for first-timers. I was fortunate to take the ISO 300 Incident Command course just so we could apply for more grants and then be in compliance with a lot of the federal and state grants, but it was a good refresher course. So I really would like, if the board could, I think there's 2 more to attend. It's really enlightening if we do have a major catastrophe and how the county, our fire chief, and the township can set up and serve our residents. It also has where the supervisor can declare a state of emergency just for our township, which is very important because that opens up a lot of avenues. For instance, when we had the flood, I think we did have a state of emergency, would open up some of the nonprofits to be able to help and give that money to the local residents for repairs on their homes. So in the grant realm of it, I'm still waiting on the $400,000 brownfield grant. That we should be hearing about that probably by next month. That was a 3-way with the county, the city of Kalamazoo, and Comstock Township. So if we're awarded that, each municipality would get $400K to use for brownfield. And then also, I was informed, and we had a pretty tight deadline. So the Kalamazoo Climate Crisis Coalition, they have some programs that help residents with doing management on their house for efficiencies. And then also I went ahead with their guidance and we applied for a $800,000, it's called a chill grant or a block grant. And what that grant will do is it's approximately 30 to 40 homes that fit into a lower income that we could repair their roofs, do any maintenance, siding, anything that's needed on these residents that can't afford that type of thing. So hopefully that will go through, and then that would be maintained and put out by the Climate Control Coalition of Kalamazoo with our guidance through the funding, so through the state, and we just handle the funding. So we also received our 2025, we've been, since the SAW grant was a grant that we got from the state to look at all of our infrastructure through all of our sewer pipe, and then when that grant ended, we had a section of piping, probably about a third left, that we paid for to have scoped and make sure that the system was in good repair in case it needed repair. I just got the report back in the 2025 and we have no issues and no actions needed, so that's good. Our sewer system is really up to snuff, and whether shouldn't have any major repairs coming up unless it's a lift station. I think it was Mr. Pratt asked me about the 30th Street. I just want to give you an update. I did, Miranda, I believe she was the one that came and spoke about the PFOS issue on 30th Street. I reached out to her and asked her if there was any foregoing or anything else they were going to test. Any more residents have called and asked for testing, and this is what she wrote. She said, I haven't received any new information since the township back in July. Unless we get a new data that suggests need for us to continue the investigation, we don't plan to do any additional sampling at this time. The greenhouse that was originally had the excess sample did sample a different drinking water well, apparently it must be on the same site, and we're approved to use it as a replacement for water supply for the migrant labor housing. So that must have been Lawrence Winky's property. They must have tested or did another well, and it was in compliance. So as of right now, I asked the residents if they still have issues or concerns, and they can contact me to reach Miranda at Eagle. Because she said she hasn't heard much from any residents for any furthermore testing, so. And then only thing I have left is I have our ordinance officer for the report. I did talk to our deputy. He was on vacation, so I will try to email out the sheriff's report because he was on vacation, didn't get that to us in time, so.
Any questions for Superintendent Hess? Treasurer Bloomfield?
I do have two things for you. Could you please email us the information so we have it all correct, all of us, for the emergency management? And
Yeah, I'll get you those dates, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
and then while you're at the podium, since ML is under water construction, could you please talk about that, what you know?
No, yeah, I will.
Because the road's closed
Yeah.
and a lot of people are like getting confused out by us.
Yeah,
where they're
ML
going.
last year, was it last year? I think we had a project on 33rd. Was that last year, the big project that was? So the city tries to, when water stops and it's over here, they're trying to connect the system to get a pressure district so that the pressure's equal all the way around. If you think about a big loop, the pressure would be equal, but if it stops here, it's gonna be a big here and a little here. So ML project is they're going down, what is that, 20, I think water runs about 28, somewhere around there. And they're going to connect the loop from down through ML and then over to 35th and make that one continuous loop. So it is a city project. I do get a lot of calls on it because they come in and they have, the right to be in their right of way. So they cut a lot of trees, they make a lot of mess, and they tear up everybody's lawn for that water. But I tell them to reach out to the city of Kalamazoo because we don't have anything authority. It's their project. It's in the right of way. I do tell them to reach out if they feel like they're encroaching on their property, then when that's something that we can help them with. And we do have another project for sewer down here, Proctor Avenue, right behind the old Township Hall, the library. There was a bad odor smell and they're redoing the system there, and I got a call on that. So that's probably gonna be a 2-month project to re-put in a new pit, so. But yeah, that's a big concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, I'll go over what we did this month. I will try to address some of the questions that I have heard here, and then also by the phone that people had questions that they want to address at the meeting, and then I'll ask you guys if you guys got any questions as well, because it's been one busy month. So for going to court, went to court twice. I wrote 4 citations. I had 65 complaints, 37 of those equal to 2 cases. A lot of those complaints were repeats or had multiple people calling about the same issue, which does not open up a whole new case, just August stone underneath one. That's just how our system works. One complaint was about a dangerous building that did end up getting condemned by CABA. Out of those 37 cases, 2 of those were found to not have any violations. I did end up closing out 35 cases this month. Most of those were holdovers from last month because those the warning period I gave either expired and they complied, or they complied before it expired. And I only had 13 open cases open for the end of last month, end of March. So complaints. So far this month I've been operating just off of complaints. It's not been me going out finding things because we've been really busy. So last year from well, this is my one year anniversary for working for Comstock. So from me starting last year to the end of 2025, I had 108 complaints total. So just people calling, sending in complaint forms, dropping off complaint forms, or mailing things in. So far this year, I've had 97 complaints. So it's been a really busy year, and we are only in April. So a lot of my time so far this year has been tied up with tracking down the complaints. So with that being said, Rose Street, I know I talked about Rose Street last month. Poor Richard and I had to go back out there again. More poor him than me. My vehicle has heat. It's not warm for him when he's outside in the cold, but I have more delicate skin than what he does. So I think so. We picked up Rose Street 4 more times from last month. So in March, we were out there 4 more times picking things up. The day after the last board meeting, we were back out there again because somebody dumped off a 5-piece sectional, which looked very nice. Then what I call the South Winky Pit, which is just to the west of South Winky over here. It's not part of actual South Winky, but there's no address for it. It's just a parcel. I call it the pit. We were out there. I was out there myself in the cold. Picked it up 3 separate times because we had a lot of things back there. That pit has been nothing but a headache for me ever since I've been working here, and along with County Sheriff as well. We have found everything from burnt up bicycles. I think I found all at once 8 lawnmowers. They were out there last month where they burned up a moped. I've had to call the fire department out there quite a few times for things that were on fire. That was just the way it went. So I finally said, what would be great for us if we got rid of this pit. So Friday, we wound up getting rid of the pit. We flattened the whole area, so the pit's no longer there. That was a lot of work. Last month, I had to go there, cut up all of the logs that were being used to create things. We threw it in the pit. We burned it, so there was no extra logs to be used to build items. And then we buried it. We flattened out the pit. I was really hoping that would solve our issue, and it did. I went out there this morning. I was half expecting to find a brand new pit that was built. It was not. I could see that there was footprints that went out there. They saw that their pit was gone, and they turned around and left. So hopefully that solves a lot of our problems, including theft, and then me calling the fire department out to put out more fires. We did tear down one house. This is a house that we started last year in May, and it was just wrapped up in court ever since. Before May, before I got here, so probably March, March. Started within them, so before I got here. And we finally were able to tear it down. It was just wrapped up in court and things like that. That one cost a pretty penny, just because it was a bigger house. There was asbestos that was involved. We also had to abandon the wall as well. But I did help with the pickup because it does save on some money. So when I was able to throw things back in my truck, we did, or the Ford. So we did do that. I had also had other ordinance departments reach out to me asking how we were able to do what we were doing, how I was able to get so much money from my operating budget. I told them because I have the looks, so that might not help them out. So, no. I told them that we do have a lot that goes on here. I try really hard to get this place picked up, looking nice. It does not help that people just dump things because they can, and they know that we can't really find them. One of the people who did dump on Rose Street, I did find them. I wound up going through the trash and finding a bunch of letters that were addressed to them, so it was pretty easy for me to do. I got dirty. I wound up smelling, and I don't like that. But anything to make this township look better. So it is a lot of work. So addressing complaints now. This township's pretty big. It's a big area. There's a bunch of houses. I'm only one person. And the issue isn't how many of me's there are. It is how much money do you all want me to spend, right? Last year, we started off with $55,000 operating budget between 2 ordinance officers. And once we had the one leave, I said, I need more money. So like we got rid of that one position. I got more money, went through that money, had to come back up here again to ask for more money. I think I went through that and asked for more money, and at which point I slowed down a bit, but it was all, near the end, was complaint driven. So the issue isn't, there's not enough of us, the issue is how much money do you want me to spend? To tear down a house is anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 for me to do. I always aim for that $25,000 mark, that way if I happen to come in under that, fantastic, I can better plan for that. So with the operating budget of $100,000 this year, I know a lot of people say XYZ house needs to come down. I get that. I can write them a ticket. We go to court. They can choose not to tear it down. Then I have to do it. That's money that's coming out of my budget. So I can tear down safely 3 houses without going over budget, and then it's, now what do we do? That doesn't leave me with a whole lot of money left over. We also got the severity of the violations as well. I don't like to nitpick. I don't like to get really picky on a violation. A violation is a violation. I don't get paid to have an opinion on if I believe the ordinance is valid or not. My job is to enforce the ordinances that y'all lay out in front of me, and that's what I do. I might not agree with all of them, but that is what my job is. So I have a few houses. I have one in particular where we did end up condemning the house, but the people there are really old. The health is a problem. I've been working with APS to try to help them through that process. One of the things that we can do is start enforcement on properties, not because I want to hem them up, but because a lot of nonprofits and even government groups won't begin that whole process until there's some sort of enforcement that happens. Like people who can't pay their rent and are facing eviction, usually programs won't step in until they get notice in the mail of, hey, pay or leave. So that's kind of some things that I do as well. Like, I know there's programs out there, they won't do anything until we can begin that enforcement process. Because of that, at the end of the day, I gotta look at it and be like, okay, if they do move out, but the house is still standing, it is a dangerous house. This house in particular is a really dangerous house. So it does need to come down. So do I prioritize that over somebody parking on the grass? Because what happens when I tell them, hey, you can't park in the grass, and they tell me, I'm gonna do it anyways, and then we go to court, and you have all these fees that rack up just for somebody who's parked on the grass, compared to when I can use that to get rid of a dangerous house, which is a dangerous house, or I can use that money to help clean up Comstock. Like, we had a chop shop last year. I think I spent 18 grand on picking up that property, and we're not even done yet. That was probably half of the property. So that's a lot of money that we do have to put forth. That's money that I got to now look at and be like, okay, what can we go after, and what's going to be the best for this community? So, me driving around doesn't happen often. I try my hardest to hit every neighborhood that I can in a week. Recently, in the last month, that has not been possible because the amount of complaints that I've gotten and try to follow up on. So I don't see everything. Now, this house that was brought up on ML Ave, we were in court with it already over the structure that was being built that was started with the old ordinance officer. At one point, they got an attorney as well, so our attorneys handled it, at which point I am hands off. I'm not an attorney. I don't need to be there for it. As you get told when it happens, don't show up, so I don't show up. So the attorneys handled it. That got handled. Cabo was happy with it, so that got closed out. I do know that trailers are still an issue. We have been in contact about that. I understand that some things are going on, so we're working with that. As far as the new thing being built, knew nothing of that. Again, I am very busy. I don't really just have time to go out and about and look at houses. So if you see a violation, you can call me or email me. I'm really good about responding back. If it's during the week, probably the same day, I'm responding back to you. Because the faster that I can address these issues, usually the better off they are for me in the long run. Also coming down to the warnings as well. So up until the last month, I was giving 14-day warnings via mail. So 14 days from time, I send you that letter in the mail. I had multiple people, and this is how I believe it, plus the news as well, respond back to me about 4 weeks later after I sent out the letter. They all complied without them knowing they complied. But they're all like, hey, we just all received these warning letters. And then the whole USPS having issues. I've been pushing that out, so they've been getting more of a 3-week warning for me because I'm counting on USPS being a little bit slow with deliveries. I try to make contact personally when I can. When there is a no trespassing sign up on a house, I don't go there because I'd be trespassing, so I don't do that. If they don't open the door, nothing I can do. I usually leave a business card and hope for the best that they respond to me. I don't set the time then of the 14-day warning or however long warning I give, because if I can get them to comply with me, even if it takes a little bit of time, it saves the township money, and I'm really big into saving the township money. So much so I'm using a really old computer at work that is a little slow, but it still works. I don't see the need to buy a new one. So that's kind of how it's been working. Any questions?
I was just curious as far as when you receive the complaints, if it's a complaint like that you receive numerous times on a parcel or house, would you ever be able to give us some proposals of insight, maybe a presentation, good, better, best, as far as like what you're, come to us with an ask. If you have a vision that is a parcel that is on the priority list that you keep getting calls, but it's not adding up to the budget, like, to present us something so we can see it, and maybe some forecast or some insight if there's something that may be hindering your ability to do what you would do. I'm sure the residents of the community would appreciate the community being cleaned up, but then, to a certain extent, how fast and things like that. But that would, just listening to you, it sounds like you got a lot on your mind and a lot that you would want to do, and maybe a budget forecast or something like that. If there's some certain times a year where that budget's going to peak because there's a certain reason why you're asking what you're asking, and then maybe a visual so we could see it.
Yep. So this is my first, the end of my first year, so I'll be using last year as kind of my standard of what's going to happen. So moving forward, I'll be able to better ask for what I need. What I also forgot to add too, I'm always open to going and visiting somebody. There's a particular address that I've been to in the past of last year, where the person made open threats, county sheriff got involved. I had to jump a fence. Well, the crew and I had to jump a fence for our safety. I don't like jumping fences. I'm 31 years old. It's not the hours, it's miles, and it's a lot of miles on this body. Let's see, we went back there again. They made threats. They tried to use a weapon. My crew wound up again having to leave. We had to call county sheriff back. They brought in an ISK worker because they were concerned that this might turn into a standoff. It's like all in one address over the course of a year. And I still went out there again a few months ago because they called me and said, hey, do you mind coming out here and explaining what we're still in violation of? I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't care. So it doesn't matter what our past was. Once that event was done for a day, I'm cool. I move along. So if you ever have what you think is any bad blood, anybody, I'm always open to come back out because that's what I get paid to do. And I like working with people. So I'll just add that as well.
Appreciate it. Treasurer Bloomfield.
If you don't know, I'm sure Superintendent Hess does. The tire recycling, do you know when that is at the trash compactor? I thought we had one coming.
August.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but it's coming up August. It's a county-wide.
Yep, I know it is.
Get an appointment with the county to drop off tires. So if you just get online with the county or call them, they will set it up. And I believe they'll take any size with rims too, so.
Okay.
And
we take tires also
at the trash compactor, yeah. I've seen it posted, but I don't remember the date, so I don't know if anybody else knew that, but I'd like that to be announced so that our residents knew, because I have seen stacks of tires by people's houses that they'd like to get rid of.
They're all over, and it's been a process to go pick up. I will say that I do try to use the transfer station as much as I can when I do pick up properties, because it saves us. We get charged a dumping fee through whatever company that I use when they dump stuff. So I do try to use it. One of the houses, Richard wound up calling me really mad because I filled up all of the bins. So we wound up having to go somewhere else. One of the properties, we wound up moving 149 tires. We were just shy of 150, 149 tires off of one property, which was the most that they've ever removed at once, which I thought was really cool. Until I got the bill for it, and it was less cool.
Trustee McIver, anything for Dakota?
Thank you for your hard work, and I don't know what else you can do until people stop doing this.
Well, it gives me a job, so.
Well, thank you for your work.
Clerk Beauchamp?
I don't have anything.
Thank you, Dakota.
Yeah, I'll just end with one last thing. So, a buddy of mine, I served with him. His name was David. Loved serving with him. He was my team leader in the Army. He was a victim of ID theft. It was terrible. He wound up having to get a new driver's license, new social security card, whole 9 yards. Now we call him Dave. ID theft, David, losing the ID, yeah. Jokes.
Trustee Pratt?
Nothing further.
Nothing further, but thank you very much for all the hard work that you do.
Yep.
Trustee Amos?
Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your hard work, and it sounds like you got a lot to do. Thank you.
Trustee Cherry?
For your hard work and your comedy. So, thank you.
I am a dad, so I do have a lot of dad jokes, so there'll be more of them.
Thank you, Dakota.
Yep.
Moving along to, let's see here, reports. March 2026 Fire Report, March 2026 Fire Department Public Relations Report, March 2026 copper reports, and bills paid March 26th through April 2nd. Informational and future action items. We have FOIA request. Moving along to public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor, and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members, but you're welcome to make an appointment with the supervisor or superintendent to discuss your comments further. Their contact information is located by the door. Please keep your comments clean and respectful.
Okay. Tammy Keeler. I should show this to the attorney. They cannot restrict, punish, or censor your speech based on content or viewpoint. You guys are not allowed to tell us what we can get up here and talk about at first comment or second comment. Furthermore, about the site that he
Please
had.
make comments to the board.
About the site that Watts has. How come the people in that area were not told about a public hearing? None of them knew about this until the construction started on the water lines. I was up in there taking petitions the other day. Oh, by the way, they all signed. But anyway, yeah, they know nothing about this. They went out and asked them what they were doing. Oh, Watts is building this back here and this back here. Why weren't they aware of this in that neighborhood? You guys are going behind the people's backs again. They should have had at least a notice or something that there's a public hearing for this. And Watts is in violation of that also, because he should have told them what he is doing to their properties. They are pissed. And then you guys are always having backdoor meetings, you four. You've gotten caught plenty of times. When are you going to stop? No wonder the attorney's fees are so damn high. You guys have been caught more than once. And we ought to have our votes on things that you guys are doing, building. Votes on the businesses that come in here. This is why there's no businesses in here. Because you're backdooring this stuff. The people do not trust you for, and we never will. For the fact you go behind their backs. You had your mind made up about soil friends even before that meeting started the other night. We know you did, because you had a meeting here the night before. We know that also. All your vehicles were parked here. When you guys gonna start going behind people's backs and letting the public know what you are doing and letting us have our votes? Seems that we pay you.
We pay all of you.
Excuse me, I'm not gonna listen.
Our taxes go for the planning
This is wrong.
and everything else. Kiss my ass, Dave.
What?
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm already on the way out.
Hey, guys, please. Stop. Deputy, Mr. Warner, will you please?
You can control your call.
Sir, you need to stop talking. You're not at the podium right now.
Right.
Deputy, you can ask him to leave.
I'm leaving.
Go on.
Adios.
Interrupt, Amber. Yeah, you're after my speech.
Stop, please, everybody. This meeting is not adjourned. There's 3 minutes at the podium. Grief.
Okay, tell me when it's safe to go.
Well, I think we're gonna have to figure out how to click the clicker over here.
No,
If you can, all right, appreciate it. Here we go.
okay. I know you're tired of hearing this, but after the other night, when we had the tornadoes, too, and they were actually down on Lawndale, they also were down at Kim's house, we could see this heavy-duty haze. And it actually was the tornado, but it had not touched down. We cannot hear a fire truck on River Street. We've got to have some warning because they come on with Comstock West. Well, that's a little late because it's already been through. We really need some warning signals. We've got to. The weather radio did not come on until after the fact again. I know that's not your fault. I'm saying we are not safe. Everybody else has got weather sirens. Galesburg, Climax.
If we could keep the comments in the back to let her speak, please.
Galesburg, Climax, Parchment, Eastwood, Kalamazoo, and Pavilion. We don't. But we can't hear a fire truck that's on River Street with its woo, 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 woo going around when we're clear back here. Well, I'm just being serious. It's not a good situation. And you've already had 5 confirmed tornadoes go through Michigan already, and we're just getting started. This is getting scary. And when we don't get the notification till after the fact, I got it from storm chasers, but not on my phone, not on the weather radio. It was already done because I was in the basement under the table. But still, I mean, we came up and we seen the haze. You could see the haze just going around the tree. It hadn't touched down. Thank God, because it would have taken Comstock out. Then where would we have all been? We need those sirens bad. I don't care how much you're going to have to cut out of somebody's budget to put them up. Not at this point in time. It's too close. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. Let's clear why they wanted the agenda items at the beginning and the non-agenda item comments at the end, because they don't want to hear it. Anyways, my name is William Knight, and I'm the recall sponsor for 4 of these elected officials: Clerk Nicole Beauchamp, Trustee Bob Pratt, Trustee Terry McIver, and Trustee Christy Cherry. 2 of those obviously not here. I'm here today to speak about these recalls. This effort is not about politics or personal attacks. It's about accountability. On May 19th, a vote was taken to end the board's moratorium on large-scale energy renewable projects in Comstock Township. That vote is the basis for these recalls. At the time of that vote, the township was still in the process of researching and evaluating these types of projects, and no final framework or protections had been put in place. Through FOIA requests, emails were obtained showing efforts by Trustee Bob Pratt through our attorney to end the Planning Commission's moratorium as well, which would have removed all remaining barriers. Following that vote, there were statements suggesting the moratorium was still in effect due to the Planning Commission's separate moratorium. However, these were 2 separate moratoriums, and the board did vote to remove its own. With 2 separate moratoriums in place, removing the board's moratorium while relying on the Planning Commission could create confusion and potentially place the township in a legally gray area regarding enforcement and project approvals. At the time of the May 19th vote, there were already concerns about a potential battery energy storage system being placed right next to the new STEM Academy, especially given that the school district had conducted an independent review and voted that it did not want the project there either. While the recall language focuses on that vote, many of the communities see it as a broader pattern of decisions that do not align with the will and safety of the concerns of the public. Michigan law gives voters the right to recall elected officials for actions taken during their term. The purpose of these recalls is simple: to allow the people of Comstock Township to decide whether these actions represent them. The decision does not belong to this board, it belongs to the people. And for anyone interested in signing, I'll be out in the parking lot right after this comment. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
I think it was rather disrespectful for them to get up and leave regardless of whether they want to hear people talk or not. That is their job, is to sit and listen to the public. And just like when I was up there just a little bit ago, and I stood there for 3 hours, would any of you guys have stood up there and held that microphone for 3 hours? No. I was actually in physical pain from standing. I went to the chiropractor the next day. But at least I was willing to do something for people that even if I disagree with them, that I'm still going to be kind and generous, and I'm still going to treat you like a human being. I at least can afford you that respect. And you can't even afford us the respect to sit here? That's disrespectful. Just because you don't like what somebody says doesn't mean that you have to be disrespectful back to them. It's not an eye for an eye. That's not what you're up there for. Bob, you're not writing notes, Bob. You can't even look at me. Come on, man. You don't have to agree with everything, but you can they're up there at least and give people the respect that they're due. I'll stop talking so you can quickly take notes and then I can keep going, Bob. No, this is up. Bob, I'm allowed to sit up here and say anything that I want to say. It is my First Amendment right. I could sit up here and swear, and then he could ask them to leave, or ask him to make me leave, but I could still sit up here and say whatever it is that I want to say, Bob. You have no authority over that. You can't even afford me at least the respect that I gave you when I'm sitting up there helping you guys. I'll never ask you to do something, Bob, that I wouldn't ask myself to do, which is to afford people, even who I vehemently disagree with their behavior, I will still give you the decency and respect. If you ask me for help, I will help you. He asked me for help to help you guys do something that you knew. What are you looking up there, Terry, to see how much time that I had left? That's even more disrespectful. You might as well just get up and left, dude. You might as well just get up and left. Why are you still here if you don't even care? That's what I'm asking. Do you guys understand that you only have a limited amount of time here? Even physically as human beings, we have a limited amount of time, and why waste it being hateful and spiteful? Yeah. You don't even like coming here. So why don't you change your approach in the way that you come here? Have you ever tried that? No. He's sitting up here like, man, you guys have a clown show up here. Bob didn't tell me what I was getting into. This is embarrassing. We can do a lot better than this.
Please, no comments.
It's just disappointing, Bob. I was going to come up here and say, even though I disagree with you, at least I give you respect for sitting up there, which I still will give you guys respect for still sitting up there and not getting up and walking away, which is the basic decency that you just give somebody.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I want to note that during citizen comment, both the clerk and a trustee walked out during citizen comment, and that could be a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Citizens have the right under the Open Meetings Act to be heard, and officials have a duty to remain present during public input. Walking out sends the wrong message about transparency and accountability, and I would urge the board to ensure that all members stay for the entire meeting. I'm also here to raise concerns regarding the law firm Buckenthal, Seberg, Kaufman, and Koches, currently retained by this board, and request transparency about any potential conflicts of interest. Under the Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct, there are several areas this board should examine carefully. First, dual representation. Rule 1.7 recognizes that a lawyer for an organization may also represent a principal officer or major shareholder. While common, this practice carries serious potential conflicts of interest that must be disclosed and managed. Second, lawyers who serve as third-party neutrals in a dispute resolution may face conflicts if they later represent a client in the same matter. Rules 1.12, 3.3, 4.1 require candor to all parties. Any overlap in these roles could create ethical issues. Third, under Rule 6.4, lawyers involved in law reform activities must disclose if a private client could materially benefit from decisions in which the lawyer participates. If the retained law firm has any involvement with the Michigan Department of Environmental and Great Lakes Energy, EGLE, this should be disclosed to avoid conflicts and ensure transparency. Finally, Rule 8.4 defines professional misconduct, including dishonesty, misrepresentation, or any attempt to improperly influence a government agency. Any undisclosed relationship or influence between this law firm and EGLE could fall under this rule. For these reasons, I respect that the board inquire whether the law firm has any ongoing work relationships with EGLE, disclose any potential conflicts of interest, including dual representation or law reform activities. Ensure the firm's engagement fully complies with MRPC 1.7, 1.12, 3.3, 4.1, 6.4, and 8.4 to maintain public trust and any others that I may have missed or overlooked. Transparency and accountability are crucial to maintaining integrity to a board of governance. I urge the board to take prompt action to investigate and publicly disclose any of those relationships. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Karen Height. Last Thursday when we had the bad weather, I posted something on Facebook, which I now regret, not the fact that I posted about us not having sirens, because I don't regret that, but I did make a very hateful comment to the 4 trustees, or 3 trustees and the clerk. I publicly apologize to all of you. I should not have said that. I said it out of anger that we don't have sirens. We need sirens. My questions were answered as far as what's being done with on ML Avenue by Dakota, so I'll let that go for now. When I worked at the hospital, I worked in the emergency room, and once a year we had to have emergency training where they set up tents outside, and we all had to get into our little hazmat suits within a set amount of time, and we had to triage people, move them through, whatnot. Is there anything set up like that through our fire department? This is to our fire chief. I think it's a very good thing that should be done, and that any of the public that would like to see that kind of training, I think our public needs to have something set up for CPR training. We see the Michigan siren things online all the time about the different people that are being called, the emergency management calls in our fire departments and stuff. If more people knew how to perform CPR and get it started, we would have to have less manpower show up from our fire departments. Yes, I know that they are first responders, but we need to make our township more aware of how we can help each other in critical situations. If a tornado hit, our fire department and all of our emergency people are going to be going other places. The local public needs to know how to handle this stuff too. So if we can use some of our funds from somewhere and set up some of these type of things with the CPR, basic, stopping bleeding, that kind of thing, what to do in a hazmat situation, who to call, where to go. These are things that our public needs to know. And I would appreciate if our board could look into something like this for the people. And once again, I do apologize for my hateful comment on Facebook, and it has been taken down. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name's Nut, and I got a feeling that kid that left here was talking about all his working things. If you maybe let the fire department help him on some of these houses that you gotta get down, let them burn them down. It'd be good practice. It could save you some money. But then again, You guys did a good thing helping this other guy with $700, I hear. But you're all burning on Ben and Soil and Friends. That's not right. And the four of you guys know who you are, including the one that walked out. Terry, I can't believe that's you. You used to own a business here. How would you have liked it if they'd done that to you and ran you out? Huh? You wouldn't have. Bob, you used to raise kids. I hope they didn't turn out like you. You're just wrong. Unbelievable. You guys need to follow Ben. He's raising a family. He's got his kids doing right. They work for what they got. And that's what he's doing. But you want to put him down. Is that because he's doing better than you guys? I think he is. I think he's a better person than you. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
John Trolley. This was an interesting meeting. Wow. Everything that man said back there, 100% agree with. We need to be respectful. That goes for public comment also, but at the end of the day, you have to listen to us. And in my opinion, that person and that person that both walked out, they need to be reprimanded. They need to be something. You walk out of a job, you get reprimanded. Something happens. Yes. You know, and in my opinion, that is the most disrespectful thing that could have happened. I understand about people out here saying stuff and everything. I get that. But I do want to thank Bob Pratt and Terry McIver for actually staying. And you're actually listening to me for once, and I thank you very much. You know, but it's one of those things that, like, in my opinion, they need to be reprimanded, and I will be signing those 2 petitions today because that was so disrespectful. I might not sign the other 2 right now and everything, depending on how these meetings go and everything like that, might decide that. Because I actually have respect and I actually have hope for this township that we can actually get this turned around without this recall bullcrap. You know, I don't want to do this, but that was so disrespectful by those 2 people to do that. And in my opinion, the attorney needs to step in here, and as what's left of the board, you need to ask the attorney what to do tonight. Not tomorrow, not the next meeting, not anything like that. Tonight, you need to ask the attorney what to do. Because that was uncalled for, that you have 2 board members just walk out. How are you even supposed to close this out now? You have 2 board members absent for the last little bit. This is not right. I think other people should get up here and just waste 3 minutes just talking out of their, you know, whatever. Because it is disrespectful that they don't want to listen to us. And I understand some of the comments might not be the best. At the end of the day, you're up there, people voted for you, listen to what we have. Half of the stuff I might say I could give 2 craps about, the other half, in my opinion, is actually worth something. You know, and that goes for every public comment. I don't think 95% of these public comments out here are disrespectful and everything. I believe about 50-50. You know, and I think it also needs to be brought to attention that a board member's husband maybe filed a complaint and she voted on the whole litigation thing, or whatever you want to call it, with Soil and Friends. That never got discussed.
Please, no comments.
That needs to be also discussed, that if it was him that filed the complaint, she needs to recuse her vote. She needs to do whatever you want to call it, that cannot vote on something, just like Mr. Supervisor Ben Martin has to abstain for everything with Soil and Friends. If a husband, a spouse, whatever you want to call it, makes a complaint, you should not be able to vote on it. That's just like if I owned a business and I was on a board, I would have to recuse myself with my business. That's it. Thank you for actually staying and listening to my full 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Is there any further citizen comments this evening?
All right. I would like to just echo the sentiments of John, I guess both Johns. I am just floored that after I sat through the meeting for 3 hours to be able to speak at all, 2 of the board members would walk out and not afford me that chance when I did wait 3 hours to have this opportunity in the first place. What's actually ironic is what I came up here to say, which I'll just say for the next meeting, I suppose, literally ended, the last line here says, to silence the majority voter in Comstock. It's kind of clear that that's
that's what's happening. We don't want to hear what most people have to say. At the special meeting that we held for Soil Friends, I saw a large portion of the community show up, express what they wanted this board to do, and it appeared the board had already made their decision. That hearing wasn't really a hearing to hear anybody. It was just to go through the motions, I guess, that we had to, and then just do what we had already decided we were going to do. I'm not going to spend much more time since part of the board's not even here to hear me. But yeah, it's insanely disrespectful. And I think it kind of highlights what some of the issues are here, that people don't want to hear what the voter has to say.
Thank you, sir. Is there any further citizen comment this evening?
I should get my 2 minutes.
Ma'am, please do not talk from the back. You have 3 minutes, 2 times at the podium.
Rough meeting. Sorry about the disrespect that some or most of you are receiving one way or the other. It's not warranted. People need to be decent to you guys, regardless if you agree with them or not, or they agree with you. Sandy's on the Planning Commission, so I just want to set the record straight that there was a public hearing at the Planning Commission for the whole public to hear, and every person within 300 feet of my new development was mailed a letter saying that it's going to happen on March 12th. So to have a lady come up here that speaks every meeting and spew a bunch of BS that is not correct is disrespectful. The Planning Commission unanimously voted 5-0. I didn't cut any corners. I paid all my fees. I did all the proper channels that it takes to get something approved with the Planning Commission as well as you guys. So just to set the record straight to the public that understands that I'm doing everything legally by ordinance enforcement, and everything was done the way the township wants it. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further citizen comments? If there are no further comments, we'll be moving along to members' comments. Trustee Amos?
I am done, thank you.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes, thank you. Just to clarify on something, it's been brought up at least 3 times over the last year, and including tonight. When I'm writing here, I'm writing down comments from residents, and that's it. I'm not doing my homework or anything else. I'm writing the homework for what I do as a trustee, putting down what citizens say and what I should be looking at. And that's it. And I try to do that diligently, even for those who are highly critical of me or my fellow board members. I've done that all my life to make sure I have down the facts as the people see them. And again, I'm not going to stop that, but I do not try to disrespect anyone here or anywhere else, and have done that for most of my life. So just again, to state what I do in doing this job. And I do appreciate their comments, even when they are directed at me for something that you think I may have done or am doing. I heard comments earlier before at the first public session on what was on the agenda, thinking one thing. And I hope you reflect, those people that need, I hope you reflect on that, because I had nothing to do with any ganging up on Ben or anyone else. It had to do with clarification with questions I got from other residents in our community. And so with that said, I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Trustee Pratt. Trustee McIver?
Usually, if I make a comment, I thank everybody for coming, and I still will. And I do believe in listening to the residents, and so does everybody else on this board. But after a while, it gets difficult to take all the things that are being said to and about us, some of us not. And I would certainly appreciate it if you could lower your voice for those that want to speak loudly, or try to talk to us. That's all we ask, just like you're asking for us to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee MacGyver. Treasurer Bloomfield?
To talk or not to talk? I agree with the disrespect, but you know what? I don't have a problem listening to any of you. Freedom of speech. I'll sit up here and take it all day long. I mean, it is what it is. You have to tell us what you want, and we need to respond, whether it's in this public comment time or when we see you on the street or whenever. So I do have a couple of things. I do agree with the statement that transparency on the agenda does need to happen. I wonder myself what's happening sometimes with when there's just a little blurb on there. I have no idea what we're going to be looking at if there's no paperwork in the agenda packet. Next, Mr. Watts, you are correct. There were public hearings. We had a lot of people come out for that. I was not at the last meeting. I was out of town on family medical leave, so I did not participate in that meeting, but I did watch it, so I felt like I was in the meeting. And I felt like the Planning Commission did a very good job moving your project along. And again, thank you for building in the township. And as I said before, when you and Mr. Kearney were up here, I think we have a lot of old ordinances on the books. And I think that it's a shame that they come to us as they do through issues that a builder or whoever is dealing with. It's always, we're trying to play catch up to update the ordinance instead of updating them before it happens. So, and then this one's just killing me with curiosity, and I probably shouldn't even ask, but I have a question. There was a comment asked about the members of the board leaving. Legally, I have no clue about that, so I'll refer to you on that.
I can't force anyone to stay or go.
There you go.
Those are individual decisions.
There you go. So, you have your answer, please? Quiet.
No questions, please.
So, but anyway, thank you all for coming. Don't forget you have an election coming. Make sure that you get yourselves updated on what it is you have to vote on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. Yeah, this is our first time with the agenda item as the first public comment and then the second public comment. And I think we've heard people disagree with our public comments, and sitting right here in the chair, welcoming free speech, understanding that, affecting decorum and that interpretation of when does that get there, that it's got to go it's got to interrupt, and it can't just be that we don't like what they're saying. And so the first public comment to be on agenda items only is essentially wanting to moderate their speech, because when they start and then they dovetail in and maybe out, they're weaving in and out of perhaps maybe agenda items, but maybe in their mind they think that they're talking to something that pertains that. So I'm not in favor of that. I think that people should be afforded their 3 minutes, let it rip, 3 minutes at the end, let it rip, and then we ran for office, we can hear it. I get a lot of the brunt of public comment. I'm here to represent myself and the community, but I am one board member and I don't control the public podium. So when there's things that people say at the podium, I get the blame for it. And I just think if we could, as a community, understand that if there's things that people say that we don't like, that's life. That's gonna happen every single day. And I understand, heard some comments about people saying false things about other people's business. I completely understand, and there's people out there doing that. But I believe that the more that we let it bother us as a board, the more that we show reaction towards public comment, I think it's amplifying it. It's making it worse. And my best analogy that I watched was when I was serving on the tax board review as the secretary, I was taking notes, and the people that would take the podium, they wouldn't even look at the board members. They would look at the assessor, and they were flinging arrows, and they were just after him. And I felt bad, but I watched him, and I said, boy, you really take that. And he said, it's water off a duck's back. And he just let it roll. And I think that that would do this board a lot of good. So I'm disappointed to see what happened, but I think if we can, there's something's got to give at some point. But this was pretty brutal this evening. So I thank you all for attending. This meeting is adjourned.